How's our audio? Are we good?
Yep. We're getting strong.
Chatting.
We're getting strong waves, so we're good.
Strong waves.
Strong waves.
All right.
You're good. What is
We're here. We're here with Joe. Is this what everyone does? Because we're nervous?
No. I do it because I'm so goddamn old.
This is the man known as... You got a lot of names. Dad, 2000.
Right.
The BMX In Our Blood. And Joe Doherty. Are there any more?
Eagle.
There you go. The man of many names.
And the Eagle is from the friendship circle, and it's kind of a play on my lack of hair. So I'm like the bald eagle of Connecticut.
That's funny.
There may be other meanings too, but we'd have to ask the person that invented that or came up with that. But anyway, you got the couple.
So for anyone who doesn't know who's watching, Joe does the BMX In Our Blood podcast, which I guarantee you've heard of by now, with a lot of big people. And I don't think anyone's ever interviewed you or talked to you, have they?
No.
I want to be that guy.
You're the first. Someone did actually I know who it was. Ryan Mayo. Mm-hmm. He did a written interview.
Yeah.
And I took it pretty seriously, and I responded with pretty serious answers about myself and all. He kind of quit that project to pursue other things. I think he moved to Chicago, and super nice guy. So that's not one that would have reached the masses.
Yeah.
Not that it matters. But a friend of mine wants to do one. Also, written responses. So this is going to be the only live one. This is going to be the only one with my actual voice. So that I'm aware of. So
what we need to do is give people, I know we did this already in another video, but give define the BMX In Our Blood for anyone, pretend like I don't know you, don't know what you do, tell me what it is.
So the BMX In Our Blood is somewhat obvious to me, but may not be to others, which is once you've tried BMX and you did it for a while or maybe a short time, but you had a really awesome time doing it, if you leave, you just can't leave because it's in your blood. So that's the way you always come back. You know what I mean? It's always in your blood. Another way to look at it is, as we all get older, well, you're ways behind me, but when you have kids, my son, for instance, surfs and skates. He did ride a BMX bike just like around. I built him a couple little jumps, and he could jump. And it's like I'm watching, and this was a while ago before I even got back into it, really.
Yeah. And
it was one of those things where you could apply the same logo.
Yeah.
To him because it's about him because it is the BMX In Our Blood. You hear people say it constantly, like that kid's just like his dad. It's in the blood. So that's where it came from.
So what about the project? Define the project.
Good question, because this is starting to morph a little bit.
Maybe what it was originally intended to be and what it is now.
Okay, there's definitely a difference. In the beginning, my intent was to shine some light on the East Coast guys, whether it be New England East Coast or all the way down the Atlantic coast, and really highlight some personalities that you may not have heard from otherwise, because they're not, well, first of all, the magazine era was basically gone at the time I started this, but for the most part, the people that weren't getting a lot of attention, and actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to do this a couple times. Even during the magazine era, East Coasters infamously did not get a lot of attention. Every now and then there'd be like a road trip, and Keith Mulligan did a couple, and that was awesome. But
I would say so even now.
Yeah, it absolutely but still continue. Now. But yeah, so there was one BMX podcast I was listening to at the time, and I have all the appreciation in the world for these guys. It's Rail to Berm, and they're mostly racing. So I was looking for long form interviews, because I wanted to learn more about people. Well, I can't make them change their format. you know, but I appreciate what they're doing. And I said, well, you know what? It's the same old thing. If you want something done and you have an idea of your own, just go for it. So that gave me the push to do it, which is, again, this is back to highlighting East Coast guys and inland Ohio. And that's where it spread, but spread too. But yeah, just work, just work my ass off to get to all these different people that have stories that wouldn't have been otherwise heard. So it's working out really well. Where it took a little turn was actually here at the wheel mill. I've got a lot of friends from the East Coast that moved to the West Coast to work for different companies, and last winter, and you'll remember this, Nuno Oliveira asked if I wanted to interview the Odyssey team because they were going to be rolling through.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm interviewing guys from California, like happily doing it, and Nuno helps with the podcast a little bit, and so I was all for it. And he's saying, if you would like to interview these guys, go for it. And I'm looking at the names and I'm going, wow, I don't know a lot about these guys, but I'm not going to let that original focus that I have stop me from interviewing guys that I'm really interested in, like Gary Young, Tom Dugan.
How could you say no to that? You
know? Right. And you would know better than me. So this is the part that works when you don't know a lot about the past years up until I got back into it again. It's really cool because it's like first time, like I'm not fanboying, none of that stuff's there because I don't really know.
Because you don't know who they are.
Right. Same with Scotty Kramer.
Yeah.
I would imagine some guys get pretty nervous walking up to Scotty Kramer.
Yeah.
Yet, I didn't know who Scotty Kramer was. But
right.
I knew I liked what I saw.
I feel like I don't want to interject while you're telling the story, but I feel like that's an even better way to do something like this than if you were nervous and, because you're just like, who are you?
Yeah, right. If your intentions are pure, it's so easy.
Yeah. But anyways.
But it's absolutely true. Like so I'm being introduced to these people, and it just started to expand because it turns out that kind of coverage wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And I kind of stumbled into this whole thing, and it morphed from East Coast focused, actually Northeast and East Coast focused, to occasionally having guys like Jerry Batters, who will be up next on mine. And prior to that, it was Fids, which was last week.
Excellent, by the way. Excellent. I haven't finished it yet, but I've been listening to it as I can.
I've never laughed so hard editing, which I hardly edit his.
Yeah.
I have never laughed so hard editing. I also listened to it when I was on a mountain bike ride. I was just and everyone says the same thing, that they're just tearing up laughing.
There was a lot of funny stuff.
They were hilarious. So someday I'll get Leland Thurman on here too.
That was part of the funny.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. At first it was like, wait a minute, I thought you were interviewing Fitz. I'm sure people were saying, and it's like, why is this guy in here? Yeah. It's like, well, he's kind of part of the story, and it worked out.
It's a package deal.
It is. It was definitely a package deal.
So is that what you'd say it is today? It's more of just BMX and whoever might come along that.
Yeah, I have learned some lessons in the past. I guess I'm on episode 70, 71 now, which it's been about a year and a half. I've learned a couple lessons, sometimes the hard way, that you really need to go for quality over quantity. And that really kind of hit the fan or slapped me in the face earlier this year, and I realized I'm not, with some of the people, I wasn't doing it for me, I was doing it for someone else. Either that person or the people behind them or whatever. And I take full responsibility for that, because I dropped my original goal and thought process and kind of went for the, in some cases, the more controversial interviews, And that I took a month off because of that, and really thought about it, and then came back a month later with the John Lee interview, which to me, I mean, that was intentionally placed for the most part because I've always wanted to interview John Lee, but he's also known as the nicest guy in BMX. So interviewing him was an easy one because I already knew, I had a real strong gut feeling about him. So yeah, I started up again, and I'm making sure that I really stick with my gut.
Yeah.
And not lose track by trying to satisfy other people, or fill a void, or help promote when it's not really something I'm invested in emotionally, or so yeah, it's changed, and I'm here today because this is Next Generation Jam, and the Hallahans have been great every time they've come to one of my jams. As you know, you stayed in the house that they stayed at with the track director from Trumbull. But I'm here today because the Hallahan family is amazing, and Potosny's, and the Wheel Mill in general.
Everyone in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I would probably move here at some point if I could get my wife to. I don't see it happening. But yeah, so it's I'm here because it's probably just like you. I want to work as hard as I can to really let people know. And I did this last year, this event. Just go and get a couple minutes from each kid. Nothing super long.
Well, and if you didn't do it, and I didn't come here and film this, no one else is gonna do it.
No.
And that's kind of the way I look at it. Like, I'm trying to rush for us to get to this so that we can get it through in time to go out and start filming things as they happen. It's like, because if I don't film this, BMX media only cares about the 30-mile radius around LA.
Yes.
So, like, somebody's got to do it, and I enjoy it, so we got to do it.
Exactly. You hit it right on the head, because that was exactly what I was seeing, and I thought, you know what, there's never going to be, I felt like at the time, there's never going to be another Northeast podcast. I mean, there are a couple guys doing it since I started, and actually, this is something to mention quickly. At the time I started, I think Come Up was dying out.
Yeah.
Thankfully. And
we said it. We said it.
I said, I don't care.
I'm agreeing.
I'm almost 49. I don't give a shit. Can I swear?
I don't care.
Oh, okay. I don't give a shit with the Come. In fact, if they even knew I existed, I'd be shocked. But yeah. So we had Rail to Berm to Come Up, a little bit of Snakebite. Snakebite is sporadic, but Chad does an awesome job.
Yeah, those are good.
And otherwise, there was really nobody. Now we've got everyone, like great people doing it, like Chris Doyle.
Do you think he would have done it if it wasn't for the BMX In Our Blood? I don't think it would have. This course of events that probably led up to that happening was probably influenced by that. And that leads me to the next thing I wanted to ask. Because it's pretty obvious, and everyone who's watching this right now can clearly see the benefit that has happened and came from the BMX In Our Blood podcast.
Which is crazy to me.
Which we all see it, we all know about it. I want to know, how has it benefited and affected you?
Man, it's benefited me because, as you know, some of the podcast interviews get heavy. Yeah. We've touched on subjects that are taboo sometimes, or most times, which are depression, suicide, substance abuse, all kinds of things that I think need to be talked about, but I wasn't as comfortable talking about it until I interviewed Garrett Burns. A huge turning point. So you asking how it affected me, it's made me feel like, wow. I mean, I get these DMs that are just like, I always refer to this one. This guy told me he was suicidal, and he heard this, and finally he felt like someone understood how he felt. I almost cried. He said he was crying during the interview. I almost cried reading his message. Yeah. And that's something that I don't, I'm not walking around saying, hey, I might have saved the guy's life.
Right.
Zero to do with that, and all about the person.
Well, and I feel like that specifically is something that the general normal person can't understand unless they live it, or they're in a position like you're in and you're making something and people are telling you that. Because I've made videos my entire life, and up until just a year or two ago, I'd never even considered anything like that. Until people say something like that to you, and it's like, oh, whoa, this could actually, because being a normal happy person, you don't think about like how someone telling a story like that can affect someone. And I feel like I wondered if it made you feel like you've grown as a person, or
Definitely. And I'll definitely say you're never too old. You should be learning until the day you die. There's always something to learn about other people, just maybe history, how it affects today. There's always something to learn, and I'm learning from people that are younger than me for sure. I've been fortunate. The way this is kind of played out, because it really. It's hard to say this because I don't want to make it sound like I am possibly solving something or fixing something, because I don't believe that's exactly it, but I'm offering at least an outlet. In the Garrett Burns interview, again, he changed my thought process, because during that interview he'd said, I believe this was during the interview. It's hard because you talk before the interview and after the interview,
right? So
it's hard to remember what was in there, especially when you talk for 5.5 hours. I was with him, which was
it's a long time. It's hard to remember specifics.
It was amazing, but it got me to think about what he said he could, and this is coming from a guy that's seen everything. So it's like, I don't really care to talk about whatever this guy did in a video part or whatever the story is. I want to know about the person,
right?
And so I've incorporated that, and always giving credit to Garrett Burns, that I've always credited him with that, because what happened is it made me start to ask the question. Sorry, I got a little distracted there with Master Mike Batazzi, the guy that helps. Oh man,
I kind of hoped he'd walk in and say hi, but anyways.
Oh yeah. We'll have a lot of Mike today. But anyway, it made me more aware of what I was asking, and so it became kind of something that I wanted to dig into a little harder, because he's exactly right. Like, your video part shouldn't define your whole life. Your whole life is so much more than a video part. Not that I've had any video parts, but from what I'm seeing, it's like anything. It's here and it's gone.
Yeah.
That shouldn't represent your life in a 15-minute or a 15-second. It could be anything.
It kind of makes BMX shallow when it's like that.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, it's here and it's gone. But if you listen to something like this and get to know that person, it makes the video part that much even better, I think.
Totally. Yeah, I would imagine it does. And now that I know some about these people, I watch them, and I guess I do think that. Changing my, always kind of manipulating, but not going far from where I started. With that, the intention of doing these long form interviews, I've just decided after that one to really include those kind of questions, maybe because you have to gently work it into the conversation.
Yeah.
So, and you learn the craziest things about people. Crazy meaning they probably wouldn't normally talk about it, but they're clearly hurting from it, and it's still something that they have, that they're hanging on to. They haven't let it go yet. So
maybe these podcasts can help with that too. I'm sure they have.
They have. I get most of my DMs are or comments on Instagram when I post that the video is, or I'm sorry, the podcast is up. Is you got me to ride my bike again. I haven't ridden in years, and I started riding again a couple weeks ago because of your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff's pretty. It floors me because, you know me, I'm admittedly a pretty modest guy because I don't like to work into an area that is not me. I certainly don't pretend to be something I'm not.
Yeah.
I made that pretty clear on the podcast. So it's I forgot where I was going with that exactly, but it's worked. It's worked. Now it's working the way I want it to,
Mm-hmm.
with a couple, speed bumps in the road. Nothing's perfect.
Obviously.
I did want to say something real quick. Excuse me.
Yeah,
One
go
second.
for it.
You had talked about these guys. Wait a minute. Now I just lost what I was going to say. Gosh darn it. It was important too.
Who'd I talk about?
No, I don't think you'd mentioned a specific name, but it'll come to me in a second. I do this a lot lately.
That's okay.
I swore to my wife, I'm like, I think I'm going, I don't know, going somewhere off the.
When you have so much going on in your mind, it's easy to get off track.
Yeah, definitely. If I think of it, great. If I don't, that's fine.
It's okay.
So yeah,
I think it's pretty cool that what initially for me, because I do my news video, I constantly was saying like, it's always awesome to learn more about these people than just their riding. And now in hearing you talk about these things, it's making the connection. It's like you're taking it even a step further than that. You're teaching people about someone and teaching them about like life and experiences and things like that at the same time, and that makes it even that much better.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do, because I don't always realize the impact unless someone tells me their version of or their thoughts on what I recorded.
Right.
Because then you get the response of I got this, and this out of it, and it makes you feel good that you're able to facilitate that. So I think something I was talking about before was a lot of people do it now. A lot of people podcast.
Yeah.
I still, and I'm not a competitive person whatsoever with anything really, but I'm listening to them all, and there's something for everybody. Everyone has something that people are going to get something out of. I don't hear a lot of people going deep with people, and that may just not be in their DNA of things they really want to talk about.
Yeah.
So I feel fortunate that I'm filling that, that void, and if I'm making a difference, that's awesome. It's great. But I'm just going to keep doing it until. I mean, there'll be ones that I post that people won't know anything. They won't even recognize the name.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. I mean, I'm going to do more of it because, like I said, I had to get back to the roots of why am I doing this? After that month I took off, and it's kind of helped me clear my head and say, okay, I have a friend in Brooklyn that he's a rider, always been a rider, moved from California, and he's a photographer and the whole deal, and we've been friends for a while, and since I got back into it, and an interview with him would be, it's going to touch somebody.
Yeah.
It's not going to get the 6,000 downloads of Garrett Burns.
But still, I think right now, like, I've been talking for probably a year now on the news video about how we need more of this interview podcast type stuff, and we're getting it. It's more and more is coming in, and now I'm like shifting my focus to like, okay, we need to start focusing on the outside of the industry, like giving the people who deserve the attention, and not just giving the people who sell bike parts the attention, because that's what's going on right now, and it's only because BMX media and companies are trying to stay alive, and I get it, it's cool, you got to do what you got to do, but people like you have the power to reach and talk with other people and expose other people, and I think that's just as important.
I think, I can tell you that I don't want to stop doing it, but there's definitely no pride going along with it. I don't owe anyone anything, is what I'm saying. And you're talking about someone that sponsors and wants to interview people. They're going to show, first of all, the best side of everybody.
Yeah.
And we already see the best side of everyone on Instagram, or most Instagram, where it's mostly at for me, since I drive a lot. I'm sorry, interviews, but Instagram's my vehicle for getting stuff out there. But podcasts, I listen to them, and I have a little sponsor in it with Powers, and I was a little hesitant to even ask for a sponsor because I didn't want to be tied to any one particular brand, for sure. That would have been even more difficult.
Right.
But I did want someone else to have some skin in the game, because I do travel a lot, and I do them all face to face. And despite what someone asked me in Florida, which was kind of funny, they're like, "Do you do this full time?"
I wish.
I mean, like,
that would be cool.
I didn't laugh in his face whatsoever. It was more of an internal laugh of, no way. I work quite a bit. I'm a normal guy that has to go to work. I leave for work at 6 o'clock every morning, and I fortunately have weekends off. But I know what I was going to say before is everything that you see on social media is polished up, and we were just kind of talking about it now, but everything's kind of like just show reality. Like, I do appreciate it when someone shows the 5 tries before they make it. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'd rather see that. If you're only showing the crash and no follow through, of how the person got something out of that and they're progressing, that's a little bit of a bummer. But everyone's putting their best face and foot forward on social media, and I don't really believe in that. It may not be a popular thought, because their intentions are for sponsors or whatever, as far as the rider
and
goes.
I think a lot of people just don't think to do that. Like when you get this awesome clip, you're not like, all right, I'm going to show my fails too. You're like, oh, I got it now. I want to post this clip, and you're not necessarily making the connection that anything else could be put there too.
Oh, totally.
But dang it, I had something that I lost too.
Oh, I'm not the only one.
No, you're not.
You're making me feel better. I was starting to think it was an age thing.
No.
Anyway, so I'm not held to any particular standard.
I remembered.
Go for it.
Because that is exactly in relation to what I was thinking. It's like, if you did want to get involved with anyone, that's a perfect mentality to go at it with, is that if I'm going to be involved with someone, it's going to be who I choose and someone that I want to represent, or their ideals align with mine. And I think that's something influential in itself, because that doesn't really exist in BMX right now. I mean, there's few people, but those people are the ones who are so high up there that they have the ability to pick and choose and be like, I want to be representing this whatever.
And there's rarely the younger generation that really gets it. Like you're in your 20s, right? 25. So Mason Ritter, for instance, who happens to be killing it at the Toyota Triple
I hope he
Challenge.
I hope he gets finals.
Oh my! I think he made it.
Made it. Semis and finals are today. He made it to semis.
Oh, okay, all right.
For whatever reason, they do that many.
I see. Yeah. Is it top 10 make it?
Basically? I don't know, but he got 9th in the one that he did.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, because I left the comment and I'm like, you are what contests need.
Yep.
You're not, I mean, you're doing tail whips, but you're doing a freaking heel clicker before it. Yeah. Like, who else is doing that? No one.
Right. And he's the most modest guy ever.
Right. It's a perfect example.
Yeah. And I actually I've had him scheduled for a while. In fact, I was going to do it this weekend, but he said he'd be in Colorado.
Yeah.
For the Triple Challenge thing. And but he's unfortunately he's kind of an outlier. He's a bit different than most kids. I call them kids, but guys his age, because he is pretty well in tune with what he believes in, and he's an extremely polite guy. I can't wait to talk to him, because I just have a really good feeling about the guy.
Yeah.
But it's I think there's more people out there that are that way, but maybe you have to break through that front.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's there though.
Oh,
but you got to break through the front. You know.
The people who are that way, but figured out that you have to have a persona to get anywhere, unless you're good enough to not need one.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. It totally. Yeah. Just
And that's what I'm looking for. And today obviously will be about the kids. I'll do a bunch of quick, like I did last year, just stack up a whole bunch of 1 or 2 minute clips of kids talking, and it's all about them today. It's about their feeling about this fun competition. It's not really not meant to be like a real competition, but it's all in fun.
Yeah.
So I'm sure every kid that leaves here is going to leave here happy, whether they got a t-shirt or a bike part or whatever. So this is the one time a year that I go to the young, and because those kids are our future, and the Wheel Mill does a great job at getting kids here, and I'll ask you a question about Rays in a second, but I feel like the Wheel Mill really gets it because they have the right people volunteering.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know if that happens at Rays, and I'm not slighting Rays. I'm trying to.
You might have to be more specific.
Are they doing any kind of like kids weekends, like
not
the
really,
Old Fools Jam, but for kids?
Not really Rays. I guess there's just not really anyone who's stepped up to the plate to make something like that happen.
And it could be done.
It definitely could be
place.
done, and I think it would be beneficial. But I think everyone there is just so busy that that's probably not even a thought quite yet.
Yeah, and they're a perfect place for it. So I hope that happens at some point. I wish I lived closer. I'd volunteer.
I hope I'm not forgetting something. If it does exist and I'm forgetting, I'm sorry.
I don't think so. I mean, they do a lot of stuff for older guys, but the kids are definitely there with the parents. The parents are riding with the kids. Like
there's a bunch of them who are here right now too from Rays.
It can happen. It can happen more, and hopefully this gets kind of the interest of more parents that recognize that they want this to happen more.
And there's this going on right now, and then have you heard of the Hot Wheels Junior Series?
Yes, I have.
That's another thing that just started up, I think, last year. For anyone who's watching that doesn't know, it's like it's a 5-stop series, I think, of skate and BMX contests at like Woodward East, Woodward, Tahoe, whole bunch of different places, Rye Airfield Skate Park, I think. And it's only for kids 16 and under. And maybe this is how we close it out. It's because as everyone, I wanted to hit this. I'm stabbing you in the neck right now. As everyone knows who's ever listened to anything you said, you took a break.
Right. Oh yeah, I did.
I had to say that.
But it's true. But would I, would I have appreciated it as much and come in with as clear a head if I didn't take a break? And I'm not advocating everyone taking a break.
Hi, Mike.
Hey. Mike.
But my question, and maybe a good way to close this out, is since you, what year did you start riding again?
It would have been
2013 or 14? 15. 2015. I should have remembered.
Yeah.
Anyways, though, so from 2015 to now, that's 4 years. I'm really curious if you paid attention to mainstream BMX at all, or kids, if you've seen a change in how things were and how they are now.
In that time period?
Since you started and where things are now. And I'll say my thoughts on it after I hear yours, because I don't want to influence it at all.
I may need the influence. Doesn't mean I have to agree with it, but if I can't think of anything, I may have to wait for yours.
Well, if you haven't paid attention, then you obviously I
do pay attention. What's to find to find what I would be looking for, you have to dig a little deeper to find kids. Like you have to go to the BMX Groms Instagram, things like that. But as far as what's changed from when I started, and actually I think it was 2014. So this is the 5th annual jam this year.
Okay.
Anyways, though, that's irrelevant. But it's I have seen far more. It seemed like when I first started, it was back up again. It was definitely, there's a huge gap between, it seemed like there's a really big gap between, say, 16, 17, and 40. That middle important group of BMXers didn't seem to be there. Now it seems like there's been series that have been created, like Uncovered series, right?
Yeah.
It is Uncovered, right? So I
yes.
messed that
Yes,
one
it
up.
is
Not Undercover.
No.
Which I used to say. Anyway, that one's great. It's an amateur contest, right? So that's put on by 2 awesome guys with Kaczynski and Van Holman. And so I saw that pick up. Definitely, I think this started during the time that I came back.
Okay.
So because I believe this is 4 or 5 years tops. I don't think it's,
I can't remember.
I don't think it's longer. In knowing the Hallahans, the age of the kids, it would make sense that it was more recent. But I've seen a change also toward making not provisions, but making trails a little more opened up so the whole family can go to the trails. I hadn't seen that before, and if it had been happening at certain spots, fantastic.
Yeah.
I just know of a few that have aggressively worked on, creating kids lines / people coming back.
Oh yeah, okay.
You don't want to like hit a 20-foot set when you just came back from 18 years off.
What about like attitudes and acceptance and things like that?
I've read it, and I've seen it through. People appreciate what's going on. I can only speak for myself, but this picked up. I did the fundraisers first, and then this picked up year and a half ago or so. So there's like there's 2 areas I'm involved in. So the fundraisers, I don't think were being done. So that was not often enough, and certainly not in the model that I was using, which is strictly raising money for someone, but making it a fun event so it doesn't feel like you're raising money.
Yeah.
But everyone knows that we're there for that reason. So there were the fundraisers, and then when I picked up the podcast part of it, again, I recognized that there wasn't something happening. So from 14 on, I don't think anyone else was doing anything either that was really in a big way.
Yeah.
So and I was aware of the Hot Wheels deal, but I didn't really understand it completely. I think that's awesome. That's a Vans deal, right? Vans Hot Wheels?
I don't know. It's Hot Wheels.
The Hot Wheels company, no.
It's Hot Wheels and someone else, but it's not Vans.
Okay, all right. Maybe they just posted on it, or maybe they donated.
Maybe it is
it.
Vans. I don't know.
No, I would trust you more than me on that one for sure.
Either way, though.
Yeah, so it's changed in a positive way. I think people are starting to recognize, and this has nothing to do with the racing part, because the racing part is its own whole cluster. You know what? It's just that part's a little hard to swallow. I don't think that has changed, and I think that's a problem. They're not adapting to the needs of kids and young adults. So, I don't know if I answered the question.
I feel like you answered it the best way you could. I mean, I just was curious because I think I've been paying attention to things like the attitudes of kids and how they accept different things, just because obviously I'm weird with the things that I like to do. I mean, I'll do everything and I love doing everything, but what I put out there is kind of weird. But I think
weird is not the right word, but
it's different. It's me.
It's out of the box.
It's me.
It's out of the box though.
But anyways, so I've paid attention to like how people perceive things and the attitudes online and whatnot. And I've noticed in the past 5 years or whatever, in the come-up's decline, because that is definitely part of it, that people are more positive towards things. People are more accepting of things. Like, for example, on the group, the Come Up has a group on Facebook with like 30,000, maybe more people in it. There would be posts, and I can remember seeing like people being super negative, or just on the Come Up in general, because anonymous comments were a thing. People were way more critical of things. And now it seems like whenever you go in these groups, you see people commenting, and if someone is negative, there's more people jumping on that person than there is people who are being negative. Unless, like, obviously there's outlier exceptions where it's someone who's like trolling or doing something that's like kind of what you'd perceive as wrong. Then people are jumping on that. But it's like, I feel like the things are moving in a general positive and more accepting direction in BMX. I don't know if that's something that I care about more than most people, because I'm different than most people.
I think you're exactly right, and I think if everyone quit Facebook, that would be the first step to curing this problem, because Instagram doesn't really allow for that type of the way it works. It doesn't allow for that kind of crap. I mean, you can start some crap on Instagram, but you normally have to jump on someone else's thread and really be looking.
Well, Instagram's kind of the place where it mainly lives right now.
Yeah.
Like, you go to posts, and if there's something in there where someone's being negative, you'll see 50 more comments and stuff like that, where that's where these threads kind of live now.
I think it's more of a battle on Facebook. It's pretty split, and everyone's just screaming at each other. Caps behind it.
I was just kind of curious if, being someone who was away for so long and then coming back, if you noticed anything like that, and then noticed it getting better, or if I'm just crazy.
No. The time period that I've been back is it's been long enough to pick up something, but
memory card full. We're still going.
Okay.
We're still going though.
Still talking?
Here.
So leave it to us. You and I could burn up the memory card.
It's okay. We're gonna have a black screen for a minute, and then we'll finish it up.
Okay.
And I put a new memory card in.
Want me to just hang tight with the?
We're talking.
We're talking.
We'll hold off on what we were saying.
Yeah,
this is a funny pause. Sorry for anyone who's watching. We talked a lot.
We did. I mean, that's what we're good at, right?
It said that I had 40 minutes, but we definitely haven't been talking for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
No way.
43.
Okay, so it was accurate.
Yeah, it was accurate.
All right.
I've been known to burn. Well, I've been known to burn through some time.
It just didn't feel that long, because last time you looked at it, it said 24 minutes.
That's the beauty of podcasting,
right
there.
So anyways,
yeah.
Let's get to the thing, and then I think we want to finish it up talking about the next generation.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the difference between when I originally stopped riding, which was the late '90s, and now, or even when I started again, in 2014, everything's just completely. Everything's divided. Everything's split up. You're either this kind of rider, or this kind of rider, but you're not both. And it's more divided than I've ever seen, because so many things changed since I stopped. And I think between street, park, indoor park, even BMX racing, trails. Everyone's kind of glued to their thing.
Yeah.
And I don't. That's all fine and good, but it's. I hope most of the people I talk to are appreciative of all disciplines, if you will.
Yeah.
But I think there needs to be more appreciation, and it doesn't mean you have to go buy a USA BMX license, but. And a couple of people have said this to me in my podcast. give it a try. Like, just try that once.
Well, and I
then
think
try
that's
this
part
once.
too.
Try this, you know.
I think that's also part of what I was talking about with the acceptance thing is like 5-6 years ago, it was even more like, I am only this other stuff sucks and I hate it.
Wow.
But now, like you just said, people are appreciative of it, and that's one thing that you just don't really see anymore. You'll see people saying like, I'm a street rider, but I think most people are not most people, but I think a lot of people are more willing than they were 5 years ago to go and ride a skate park if they're call themselves a street rider and all of these things. Like, I noticed the acceptance in that it's grown a lot too.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think that's more of what I was trying to see if you had picked up on it all. But I think you kind of 2014 is kind of at the start of the decline.
Right. Yeah, I believe, you know, coming into it in 2014 was probably a good time to come in because I don't know, it was just a good time to come in because it was all there. I could just recognize that there was that, you know, everything was divided into disciplines.
Yeah.
But you might, a couple overlap, but not like they used to. So, you know, you'd have a guy that rides trails but also loves to ride bowls. You'd have a guy that loves to ride street but will also go into a park and have fun too. So I think the kids or the even, you know, young adults or older adults, the way they see it, I think everyone's doing their job as professionals anyway, at being positive with whatever they're riding. You know? And I think that's important, and I think that's something that these guys that do it often and correctly or appropriately, or however you want to do it, they should be applauded for just, you know, really letting kids know that, hey, do anything on two wheels is good. I mean, even down to Todd Lyons. All right, you're still going out, and I was a little critical of that in the beginning, which was a little narrow-minded, but because the point is he's got kids out on bikes.
Yeah.
So wherever
people are understanding that more and more and more. Because it seems like in BMX, there's always that one thing that people are latched on to hating at that point in time.
Like someone making money at the end?
That's the universal always hated thing.
Yeah,
always.
You're not allowed to make any money.
But I think that's gotten a little bit better too. And I don't know. It almost just feels like each thing that we focus on that people are hating, it like fizzles out. And then the next thing comes up and we fizzle it out. But it was scooters for a long time. It was vlogging for a long time. People still hate scooters and vlogging, but not anywhere near like they did. It was like the whole bandwagon hate thing.
Right.
And I had this thought last night, and I was like, maybe I should jump on Twitter and actually post on Twitter, because that's where you're supposed to be controversial. But I had this thought, like,
well, you can drop it and leave, right?
Yeah,
with Twitter,
right. So I had this thought. Isn't it kind of funny how an entire industry of people who are of the mindset that we like BMX riders are going against the grain of the mainstream and doing their own thing or whatever, follow our mainstream so narrowly. Isn't it kind of funny that we're so we're so into being different and going against the grain,
right?
When it's mainstream, but when it comes to our mainstream, most people stick to it like a magnet.
Sure.
And I thought that was hilarious when I came up with that. I was like, what the heck? Why? I don't even get it.
It makes sense.
It makes a lot of people hypocrites.
Right. You know who I'll give a lot of credit to is Van Homan, because in his podcast with me, what he said was the people that he respects the most, and you may remember this, but this floored me because he was right on the money. It's like the people that I respect the most, and everyone's gonna laugh at me, he said, but it's inline skaters.
Yeah, because they're in it. They're not getting anything.
No, they're not getting anything. They're getting the hate, and they're not getting paid for it.
Yep.
And there's a couple I know one inline skater, and we're both familiar with Zach Hatfield. That
Yes.
back in Cleveland
Yeah.
now, right? He was an inline skater, and still, he doesn't give a crap what anyone thinks. That's what I like about him. He just doesn't. He doesn't care. He's doing his thing. But anyway, he was an inline skater, and he loved that one. But Van was right on the money. It's like, yeah, talk about a difficult group to be in, and a group that has pulled themselves out of the negativity and just said, I don't care what you guys think. I love inline skating. He was right on the money.
And I think we're moving in that direction with BMX. Mm-hmm. And I think that it might be because there's no other choice.
Yeah.
With things declining, however people say they are. Mm-hmm. I've never talked with anyone in the industry to actually know. Yeah. But I feel like that might be the only choice.
Right.
You got to embrace acceptance if you want to succeed.
I don't think it's going anywhere in a few of the disciplines. There's one discipline I'm most concerned about.
Vert's dying.
Racing. What's that?
Vert is definitely dying.
You're right.
But that's mostly because there's nowhere to do it.
Actually, that's funny. We were just talking about that last night, about Vert, because we were talking about how many people were entered for Vert in X Games last year, and it may have been not even 10.
And they lowered the amount of people who were going to be in Vert by 2 people this year.
Yeah. So your chances of medaling are pretty good now.
Yeah, but
so we should start riding.
But either way, BMX is never going to die, and there's companies that are never going to go away. Mm-hmm. So, it's good.
I have a Jerry Batters one that I'm going to post next week.
Yeah.
So another case of interviewing someone from the West Coast, but he was super positive about everything that's going on, and he made a point to say that if the sanction will ease up a bit, or if they can get more kids to ride flat pedals, and they would also possibly go back and refine. They tried to make SPD vans at one point. They may get involved in that again if it's something that they see as possible. And now that they've changed this clip rule for racing nationally to you have to be 12 or older, or is it 12 and under? But you can't use clips if you're under 12. Okay. So anyway, what I'm getting at is vans would get back in the game. Like he says it right in there that he would love to see vans get back in the game. And
if there's one company that's doing more for BMX than anyone else, it's Vans right now.
Oh yeah.
And I say that being someone who can never ride Vans because I'll destroy them in a week. But there's no denying the amount that they're doing.
No, absolutely. It's amazing what they're doing, and including and I won't talk anymore about Jerry Batters and Vans right now.
Just watch this podcast. Just listen to the podcast.
Yeah, just listen to it after. But it's hard not to talk about this stuff because I get excited. And Vans is doing so much for women too. So we didn't even talk about that part yet, but that's been a change since 14.
Oh yeah,
past
that's
5 years.
huge. I think the women just was like, or not the women was like, the women have gotten together and been like, all right. Hey everybody, we're here.
Right.
We're here. Pay attention. We're kicking ass.
Yeah, they're taking control of their destiny and working with guys like Jerry Batters and the Vans company that see the value in including women in competition. So I think it's awesome. And all the women jams that are going on. I never used to see that, and that's something I never saw way back when either.
Yeah.
So that's totally a new thing.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm pretty excited about, and I'll support any women's event anytime because
I think just in general, BMX is doing better than ever. I mean,
I think it is too.
Even though whatever the sales, I don't know. We aren't in the industry to say if people are buying less bikes than ever. I'd say that more people are positive and accepting of everything in BMX. And more people just excited about BMX who are really in it than ever before.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's well said. I wouldn't change a thing about that. If you get stuck in that negative space of someone talking about one discipline of it, that doesn't represent the entire
No, absolutely
the
not.
entire group altogether. I think BMX is strong. Everywhere I go, places are packed.
Yeah.
There's people in it. So anyway, that's why we're here today too, right?
Absolutely.
For that next generation of people.
Yeah, we've been trying to talk about the next generation for 20 minutes.
Yeah, right. But I mean, it's important. They're here, and the parents see the value in it, which is a big deal.
Yep.
And I just think it's crazy. I mean, I don't know, maybe 150, 200 kids here last year, I would think.
A lot.
If you were to guess.
There's a lot.
And just as many this year, I'm sure. So, but anyway, if anything else you want to hit me with?
Now?
Apparently I could talk more than I thought I could.
Yeah, we did good at this.
Yeah.
I think right now,
Probably
the
edit
biggest...
half it out.
Oh, no, we're not editing this. We're not editing this at all.
I stand behind everything I say. So we're
I think right now, the biggest groups coming into BMX are the kids and the people who are over the age of 30. There's way more people getting back into BMX. I get comments every single week about I'm 46 years old and I just started riding again and all this stuff, and I feel like I should share those more than I do. But they happen. I don't get very many comments from kids. I think that's just the kind of content that I make. But as long as we care about everybody, BMX is going to keep going and stay awesome, get even better.
I think so, and I've talked about it with a couple different people in the industry, and they see it. I mean, there's no doubt they see it. And let's just face it, if over 40-ish, we'll say, you start to, well, depending on how you live your life in your career or whatever it is, you start to see a little more disposable income available.
Yeah.
And the guys that are over 40 are starting to use it. I used all of mine driving back and forth to Pittsburgh, I think Ohio and Florida, but yeah, I mean, I'll buy a custom frame, and be happy that with every nickel I spent on it.
And I also think that they're it's Murphy. I think they're also realizing the fact that they're not going to break in half when they fall.
Yeah, that's definitely entirely true.
Yeah.
Because, so take advantage of that in the way of opening up, making that market even bigger than it is.
Yeah, and
that's what I think people should do.
I think kind of the moral of the story for all of this, to maybe wrap it up, is that the only way to change something is to talk about it and do something about it.
Right.
And I think we're both like good examples of people who've wanted to change things, and we've talked about it, and we want to do something, so we do it and we talk about it.
Right.
And the changes are evident.
Yeah, I see them, and we just need a few more people to really take some of that work on and push forward.
And I think it's happening.
Yeah, and we've all tagged Chris Doyle for that. That's who's going to do this. But I mean, just listen to a podcast like Chris's. I mean, he's interviewing people from back when they were in their early 20s,
and yeah, he's got such a, I don't even know how to say it. He's just so naturally like well spoken that he didn't even have to get good at it. He's just he can just be himself, and it's perfect.
Right.
So let's get out there and enjoy the Next Generation Jam.
Yep, that's what we're gonna do.
All right.
Thanks for doing this. This was
let's do it all. Let's just be awkward
like this and this
and figure the weirdness out. All right, that's gonna be it. Thanks for checking this out. Thanks for choosing. This is my thing. Thank you for choosing to spend your time hanging out with us and listening to us talk, because literally you could be doing anything else. And the fact that people hang out this long is awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you,
yes,
everyone.
Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye. Joe, do the thing.
The thing?
Hit the thing. Nope, this one. He hit the screen.
There's an age deal right there. Wait, awesome. Hit that?
You get the clip. Yeah, do this. But it's just a thing. I don't know.
Oh, that.